Back with more Quadra leads from Three Sides Live. I suppose a lot of people have been waiting for the Lurker lead, from Dodo Lurker. Very similar to the Slipper medley that I did in my In the Cage medley video. So I'm going to use that preset as my starting point, and we can adjust things like the amount of the filter and the ADSR envelope and the amount of portamento. So I have my two instances of the Korg ARP Odyssey plugin. Remember, anything that has the dual portamento will have this set up. So off the top of my head, Follow You, Follow Me, Lurker, Slipperman, going back to the 80 tour, Lady Lies, Duke's Travels, the part where it's all that sliding around, that lead happens there. There might be more. I'm sure some of you will chime in the comments. And then there are plenty of sounds that don't have it, like the 1981 and Six of the Best version of Firth of Fifth. Doesn't even have any portamento. So I'm not going to do a video for every sound ever played by Tony Banks. At some point, you'll figure it out. So let's listen to Lurker. Oh, sorry if you watch me and Sarah Jane video. You have to remind yourself that these Genesis remixes are mastered so hot. They're always the loudest thing I ever bring into Logic. So if you look up Loudness Wars, etc., I'm not going to get into that here, but I apologize. Some videos I may miss how loud these are. Look, minus 10 dB.
This is what it said to me.
Okay, hear that smeary portamento, but notice this is the first time in the Dodo's over. Now we're in Lurker. This is the first time the note is on, right?
This is what it said to me.
It hits the note. It hits the note. It doesn't slide into it. So during that build up, when Phil is doing that spoken word type thing, Tony probably made sure the sound was set up. This is the first time in the evening he would have used the lead. It's actually, when we've done the 1981 set list, I've had these two hardware analog Odysseys on stage. I've just did the Behind the Lines, Duchess, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway opening medley of the 81 tour. There's a vocoder going on. There's a ton of CP piano stuff. And then I've done all of Dodo, which is a lot of Prophet. And then I'm like, my God, what have the Odysseys done in the last 20 minutes? Did something drift out of tune? It's kind of stressful. And then when you hear that, you're like, and it's fun because the audiences, maybe audiences don't know the set list, but when that kicks in, there's a lot of people in the audience that have been waiting for that moment, which is really kind of one of the most fun nights of playing these shows. So what I have to do to prep myself is not only make sure the sound is set up at sound check, but then I have to maybe hit the first note, the da-na-na-na, right? I have to hit that first note with the volume pedal down. By the way, you need a volume pedal for every sound. So if you do this with software, that is that many more expression pedal. You may need to buy like a USB controller to just plug in assignable TRS inputs and just have volume pedals for everything. That's kind of why I do live a mix of analog and plug-in, because it's like, how many expression pedals can I have? Can I just use the volume pedal that I bought 20 years ago for the one synth? So it's hard. But yeah, you have the volume pedal turned down, hit the first note, and then it won't slide into the first note.
This is what it said to me.
Bum 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 bum. If you watch the videos, and I know you all do, of from Three Sides Live, he's hitting the lowest C. You can't do this on an Odyssey. Even if you have two Odysseys live, what do you need? A 61 key MIDI controller. Ask yourself, do I really need to do all this? Like, if you're like, yeah, I'm going to be a keyboard player in a Genesis tribute band. I had a lot of this stuff already, and then I ended up spending way too much money just to keep it going. So you really need to assess your life before you make this ridiculous decision. But I like learning how to do this stuff, and I've talked too much already. So I'm going to, on Odyssey 1, I'm going to go to my Slipperman one. And then on Odyssey 2, let's unmute it. Let's open it, the window up. Let's get it over here. I like left to right. Oh, look, the last time I used this was Slipperman 2. Okay, so now I have to do a trick in Logic to have them both play. Do I have to record enable them? Okay, so let's pretend that I did the volume pedal trick. No effects. Let's just see how we stand. I think we have the Dodo preset, right? I think that's it. There are a couple other things going on, like does he ever hold the sound long enough for us to tell if the decay and sustain is correct? Let's see.
This is what it said to me.
Okay, another important thing to do is listen to that decay as he hits the last note. You have to spin your body 90 degrees and play two-fisted on the Prophet 10. So you need this release that I have on both envelopes. Let's listen to the final note, and that just know that last note, that he's hitting it staccato and moving his body. I mean, that's a long decay. I don't think mine is long enough. On my video, I'm sure I gave the levels of the ADSR on my performance video. Okay, I'm going to play it solo. Okay, I knew within 30 seconds of using this app for the first time, I knew it was going to be troublesome in the tuning scaling regard. I believe I talked about this in my intro video or in the cage. So if I have my fine tune, have that locked, I'm going to go down the octaves, C's. Beat, 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 beat. Beat, 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 beat. I mean, that sounds like there's some frequency modulation on a sine wave LFO. It really does. That I I have 3 analog Odyssey clones, 2 Korg, 1 Behringer. It's stupid. I'm probably going to sell 2 of them now that I have the Behringer 2600. None of them have that much of a disparity. I've never looked into calibrating any of the Odysseys. They're new. I don't know. Maybe in 5 years they won't work because it's all circuit boards. I've already had one of the Korg ones crap out on me. I have a vintage Mini Moog, and there's like little ports in the back for a long screwdriver. You have to calibrate. It takes a long time. You need an oscilloscope, and you need to tune not only calibrate the oscillator, but how they tune to each other. And it's excuse me, it's never perfect. However, this is a little too wild for me, so it's not that wobbly. So why don't I just I'll do what I always do. I'll fine tune the second oscillator, which on this keyboard. Oh, notice I didn't even bother with duo or mono because you're not playing legato. If you're playing legato, there's so much release. You just kind of tap, 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 bop, 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 bop. Just watch his technique on the 3 Sides Live video. But that's too out of tune for my tastes. Yeah, that's what it sounds like on the record. But then now that's too out of tune. So I think we have to split the difference. Ugh. I can't even. We're going to have to decide what we can live with. I think you can probably live with it more in the bass because there's bass guitar. There's no electric guitar in that part. I don't think there's Taurus either. That is it. Okay. Kind of fat, not too scary. And I hear as the notes decay, let's listen to this final note and listen to the tuning. Yeah, I'm hearing the phase. Maybe I tune it. Wow, that's a little too locked in. Okay, so you just treat this app like a quirky instrument. I can tell you, I think Tony had spares of just about every keyboard. And if it's like, I listened to the bootleg from this city and the Prophet sounds different than your video, dude. Yeah, you're right. Maybe the Prophet one was, you remember in the 3 Sides Live video where he's got the Prophet 10, the tech's got the Prophet 10 open and he's calibrating it. Or, you're always having to fix something with these. So just treat it like an old analog keyboard and go, oh, my Odyssey is a little uncalibrated. I'm going to have to tune per patch. I honestly think that the Quadra is so darn stable that he just if you listen to these albums at any moment through In the Cage or Follow You, Follow Me or any of these famous Quadra live recordings, it's crazy how that phase in and out of phase between the two oscillators is so tight. And I'm going to ramble on for a couple more minutes if you like to hear about being in a band and sound design. So, but I'm done with the sound. I think it's good. You can stop it now. But let's talk synths and how to do this stuff. I am so lucky in the Genesis show. I get a lot of extra publicity because I do these videos, and I am the music director of the band, but I'm not the music director of the band because nobody else could do it. Before I joined the band, everyone had worked out their parts in like the Seconds Out era. Like our lead guitar player, Steve, he did all the Hackett stuff on his own. And then as we started to learn things like Cinema Show and Supper's Ready, and a third guitar entered the picture, they were always learning just like an approximation of the 3 guitar parts of 2 guitars. And then I was like, guys, I have to play this. This is what Tony's playing. And then it just, at one point, they were like, why don't you do it? And I was like, okay. And I learned everyone's parts. And then when we had personnel change and we were deciding to do the 81 tour and 3 Sides Live, I did all the Sturmer parts, all the Rutherford parts. So those of you that are asking for my transcriptions, I can't legally give those out, but all you've got to do is write letters to or emails to Hal Leonard and Genesis's songwriting publishing companies, and say, hey, there's a guy that has all of Seconds Out and 3 Sides Live, all the keyboards and guitars. Pay him and get the permission from the band. I don't even really want to make the money. I just like to be able to say, if you want them, buy this book, and the band gets paid. So that was a long diversion, but the guys in my band, their ears are amazing, and they're all bigger Genesis fans than me. I mean, I like Genesis, but it wasn't like I'm really into the Who and the Beatles, and like I know everything about those bands. Well, my bandmates knew that about Genesis. Like every rehearsal, I'd be like, "You don't say." They were just telling me stuff. So I thought I was slick getting a single Odyssey and doing this. I mean, the Korg Odyssey reissue is amazing, and I learned how to use it, and it was really cool. And I go to rehearsal, and the guys in the band that are super skilled and know their Genesis would be like, you're close. You're close. I mean, like, imagine Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm, pretty close. So I was like, guys, this is it, and I knew deep down inside that, well, if this only had a portamento, second portamento, that's what they're talking about. And at the time, currently the Korg Odyssey reissues only have MIDI in. They don't have MIDI out. And I was like, guys, it's do we want a really cool analog lead that's like 99% there for the whole set, or do we want to stress about, and one of the members is like, just do it in software. You can do anything. I'm like, yeah, but then I'm clogging up my MacBook's resources. That's what I was trying to do, like use the MacBook for things like organs and pianos that I just won't have on stage, and do the stuff with analog synths that can be done with hardware. So, they were like, can't be done. You got to do it. And I'm like, it can't be done. Well, then Behringer released their Odyssey, and I'm like, I wonder what features it has. And of course it has full-size keys. It's half the price. It's got built-in effects, which honestly, I mean, they're cool. I just use the delay. And then it had MIDI in and out. And I was like, I can do this. I was like, guys, if the band buys this, we can make this happen. I did it. So, I mean, it's so stupid bringing 2 Odysseys on a gig. But, I use just the envelope of one. If I'm routing the audio, the headphone out of one is going into the external audio in, and then my keyboard controller is going MIDI, not CV. No, I'm not using control voltage. MIDI out, like a DIN MIDI cable, into the one. God, I forget how I do this. let's just say there's a loop of MIDI, you know, like in, out, in. And if you have everything set to the right channel, when you need the second oscillator, I just bump the volume up. If it's something that I can do here, like maybe in the cage, I'll have this one up, and then in between the things that go down, up. Which means you need these beasts near you. So I'm hoping that this tuning nonsense on the plugin, look, you decide the range that works best for you, and then you save it, and then you have it. So I am going to... Oh, I didn't know you could click the window. Oh, I don't want to do that. Cancel. So that seems like I can save it. I'm going to call this Lurker. Save, and then I'm going to call this... There it is, right? So they're the same, but they're a little bit different. And, that's the thing. Depending on what live album or bootleg you're listening to, this, even though the Quadra had presets, man, the temperature in the room, something got nudged here and there. There's a lot that can happen that affects everything. So I hope that you find this helpful. This is like when you're a teacher like I am, and you've got that one kid in class who's like dying to talk to you about the Stairway to Heaven guitar solo, and you're like, I'm going to write you a pass because this is getting deep. Or I'll deliberately walk with some students to their next class if I have off the next period because they want to chat. So if you like this rambling commentary, I'm really just kind of trying to answer questions that people ask in comments and privately and after shows about how to do stuff. So as long as people ask me questions, I'm happy to answer them, and I'm trying to find the best ways to answer them. So we'll probably do Follow You, Follow Me next. And I'll keep that one brief because that's the one song everybody on the internet wants to wants to learn, and they don't need to hear my dissertations. Talk to you soon.